Okay.
Everybody good?
Mm-hmm.
Good to go. Thanks, Bill. Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will call to order this April 6th, 2021 meeting of Lawrence County Board of Commissioners. Would all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a brief moment of silence. Amy, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And all please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Here.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here.
Commissioner Boyd?
Here. We have quorum. Row officer reports and comments. We have some representatives from the treasurer's office here with us today. You guys have anything to report above and beyond what's already on the agenda? All right. Move on to public comments. I'll note anybody wishing to comment before the board who still feels unsafe coming into the courthouse, even though we are open up to the public at this point, can still submit public comment to mboyd@lawrencecountypa.gov. That's mboyd@lawrencecountypa.gov. When we go back up into the offices, I'll check my emails. If anything's come in, I'll forward them to my colleagues and we'll enter it into the record, just as if you were here. But any member of the public in the audience that wishes to make public comment?
I'm the only public.
Oh, I asked when there's no one in the audience. You never know. In Butler, last term in Butler County, they had a commissioner who during the public comment period would step down from their seat on the dais and make public comment and then go back up to the dais. They disagreed with just for public. So I never know if maybe we did something that Vanessa's mad at us.
There you go.
But moving on to fiscal and contractual, we have no advertising for bids and proposals. We do have receipt of proposals for our bank RFP. I'm going to use these effectively as props. We're going to hold them up and then we're just going to refer them unless there's any objections from my colleagues. Refer them to the treasurer's office, the controller's office, and the solicitor's office for review. But we have one from First National Bank. I feel like Vanna White. And we have one from WesBanco Bank. So I don't think we need a formal motion to refer because they're not bids.
Right.
But we will refer those to our solicitor's office, the treasurer's office, and the controller's office for further review. I would imagine upon review, and I know that I believe both WesBanco and FMB are coming in to basically present the
On the 16th, I believe, correct? Yep.
whatever is in your calendar is probably in mine. Imagine probably by the end of April, we'll render a decision on whether to move forward, whether to stick with what we have or take another direction. No fiscal reports. I will note that I am going through, under fiscal reports may as well, I am going through Q1 financials for each of our departments, just to make sure everyone's currently in line with our budget. There were three major shocks to the budget in Q1. One was a capital project, which was approved by the former board for the Department of Public Safety. That was about $105,000. That was unanticipated. One was our vacation payouts, which was substantially more than anticipated. That's fixed. That won't be an issue moving forward. That was about $119,000. And then one was roughly $50,000 payment to get our tax claim off. This is actually a payment from last year. It just was never paid out last year and it wasn't accounted for in this year's budget. But to get that office to a point where they're able to operate virtually and digitally. And so the budget was built in a way to absorb those shocks. We were able to absorb those shocks. And we still have some room to maneuver moving forward if there are any additional unanticipated expenses, which again, I don't foresee any coming, but then again, you never foresee them coming.
Correct.
So far we're just based on a preliminary review, we're on track Q1 with our budget. No report on quotes. We do have a warrant register from April 1, 2021. I'll give my colleagues a minute to check that over. And then I'll take a motion to accept and file the warrant register.
I will make that motion.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Questions on the motion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Up next, we have approval of minutes from Tuesday, March 30th, 2021. Again, I'll give my colleagues a minute to look those over and then take a motion to approve the minutes. Or change.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. We have no presentation of written communications today, no proclamations or certificates. Staff reports. Is there any member of staff here who has anything to report above and beyond what's already on the agenda? Hearing none. Move on to commissioner reports and comments. Dan, you're on deck first today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing to report today.
Sounds good. Moving on to Loretta.
Nor do I.
We'll keep this,
Yes.
we'll keep this short and simple. I'll continue the train. I got nothing to report.
I got nothing. Okay.
Wait, I see Debbie walking in here. Debbie, you came just in time for the resolutions. Welcome to the party. But now we're moving on to the resolutions section of the agenda. And we have resolution for discussion and possible approval to enter into agreement with Lawrence County Economic Development Corporation. This resolution, which we'll label resolution 2021-073,
073.
relates to a RAFT grant for the Pennsylvania Office of the Budget in the amount of $1 million. This was for the Western Central Pennsylvania Electricians Joint Apprenticeship and Training Committee's new construction project in Neshannock Township, up near RIDC Park. That project was awarded $1 million in grant award to help defray the costs associated with building that facility. The way those grants work is they're effectively passed through us to economic development, who will then use that $1 million to help defray the cost of building that facility. Are there any questions? So this is effectively an agreement to enter into a contract with economic development where that's passed through. Any questions or comments?
I have one comment on this, and it's simply to express appreciation to the IBEW for choosing this particular site. They are a multi-county organization, and they could have gone to another
Yes.
county. But they did choose to locate in Lawrence County, and I think it's appropriate that we
Yes.
thank them for the confidence they've placed in our county. And if you drive up State Route 18 and you look off to your left, it's a very handsome building, and we're just glad that they invested here in Lawrence County. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. Brian, any comment on that?
Nothing.
All right. Make that resolution 2021-73. Dan, do you know is that RIDC Park?
It is part of, yeah, it is
Okay.
part of the RIDC Park, which is also, as it noted here, the Neshannock Business Park. It goes by either name.
Gotcha. Up next, and we'll make this resolution 2021-074. We have a resolution for discussion and possible approval to determine the purchase price of repository properties for Lawrence County veterans. This resolution, in effect, would reduce the purchase price of repository properties from $500 to $250 to any Lawrence County veteran who provides a copy of their DD Form 214 to the Tax Claim Bureau. This is something small that I think we can do to further honor and recognize the service of Lawrence County veterans. And I know I'm happy to cast my vote for it.
Absolutely.
But that being said, again, any questions or comments from my colleagues?
I feel the same way. Definitely.
Well, and The credit actually for the concept goes to Commissioner Boyd. It was his idea. And he did discuss this with the solicitor to make certain that this was legally appropriate. And we got a positive response from the solicitor. So thank you for your bringing this up. I think it's an excellent proposal.
And I'll go even further than that. I actually don't deserve the credit for this one. I was talking to a constituent about another issue, and the constituent's name is Martin Lockwood. And unrelated, he broached this subject and said, hey, is there something we can do with regards to repository properties and decreasing the cost of those properties for veterans? And I said, well, I don't know, but let me check into it. And everything came up green, and we were in good shape to do so. It was a good idea, and I'm glad that we're able to implement it. But we'll make that resolution 2021-74. Now just the transfers. Which ironically, I don't think I have anything to do with any of these this time. But we have a transfer from central court contingency to, this one I do have something to do with. Central court contingency to central court overtime with the magisterial closures around the county. A lot of crucial, critical magisterial operations were handled out of central court.
Yes.
Under normal circumstances, we don't incur overtime for those operations because they're handled by the employees of the individual magistrates. But those employees being laid off, we had to rely on central court employees to be able to cover those duties. And as a result, $117 was incurred in overtime. Up next for DJ Nicholson, $22 from her contingency to subscriptions. I assume there's some subscription costs that she needs to purchase. MHDS, oh good, they covered everything I was going to cover. Moving some money from their contingency account to different areas of the operation. In the amount of $6,460 to telephone and internet. That rationale is because each one of those employees is now receiving a county cell phone stipend because it's a more mobile department. And there's obviously costs associated with that. Water sewage. Equipment lease, I don't know what that's about, but I'm going to check into it. Maintenance and repairs, again, I don't know what that's about, but I'm going to check into it. And postage expense, I'm assuming that's associated with the fact that a lot of our operations are being conducted off-site, remote, digitally, where additional postage expense needs to be incurred. Same thing with us, postage. Again, we're conducting a lot of activities remotely, virtually, that's causing our postage costs to increase. This is transferring over $1,000 from our contingency to postage to continue to fund the operation of the county. And that's everything. So I will take a motion to approve administrative transfers A through H unless there are any comments on those transfers.
So moved.
Second, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. I'll take a motion to amend the agenda to allow for voting on resolutions 2021-73 and 2021-74.
So moved.
Second, the motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Resolution 2021-73, now to be resolved by and between the County of Lawrence and Lawrence County Economic Development Corporation concerning their respective obligations to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and each other with respect to the Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program grant for the Western Central Pennsylvania Electricians Joint Apprenticeship and Training Committee's new construction project. This agreement shall commence upon date of execution by the last signatory and shall end at such time as all conditions of the grant have been satisfied. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second, we have a motion and a second. Is there any comment? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2021-74, now to be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners, and any veteran who wishes to purchase a repository property may, upon providing a copy of their DD Form 214, purchase such property at a cost of $250. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steelvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Thank you to Mr. Lockwood for the
Yes.
idea. We have no ordinances on the table for introduction or for final action. Announcements, next commissioners meeting scheduled for 10 a.m. on Tuesday, April 13th in the commissioners meeting room. That'll be a fun one because we're awarding transportation grants,
Yes.
which I think will be a benefit to a number of the municipalities in Lawrence County. There is a planning commission meeting scheduled for 12 p.m. on Wednesday, April 14th at the Elwood Historical Society. And I also should note that there's a meeting of the Agricultural Preservation Board at noon on Thursday at the Elder Farm in Wilmington Township. Any additional comments, points, or matters of business either of my colleagues wish to bring forward? Seeing none, any public comments? Also seeing none. Again, if you wish to make public comment but are uncertain as to whether or not you should come into the courthouse or feel unsafe coming into the
Right.
courthouse or are being a little bit more cautious as a result of the pandemic, you can still submit public comments to mboyd@lawrencecountypa.gov, and they will be treated as such. Make sure you label them public comment in the subject line, or I'm just going to respond to them if it's a question, for example. So if you want them officially reported for the record, make sure you, at the subject line, label it public comment at mboyd@lawrencecountypa.gov. And on that note, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Lawrence County Board of Commissioners is adjourned.
Debbie, I'll give you my packet.
Dan?